All right, here we are, and this is our very final lesson in our social emotional learning curriculum. Yay! So you're almost there, and we will look at what is the purpose of this final lesson. So this final lesson is basically a wrap-up of all the things that you've been doing. Just really a way for you to bring all the stuff together and to make one final declaration for yourself, a concrete declaration about what you want to do going forward. The purpose, as it states here, is for you to visualize your future while reflecting on the things that you know about what makes you who you are not, so that you can figure out what to do to realize your future goals. You will visualize and vocalize a plan that will support the person you want to be based on what you know about yourself and your social, historical, and your intergenerational trauma. The learning target, number 1, is I can visualize, vocalize, and creatively express a plan for a future where my personal and intergenerational trauma do not negatively affect my success. Number 2, I can begin to think about ways I can contribute to creating a positive change for sharing my experiences with others. So why does this matter? This is very important for you to think about why this would matter to you personally in order for you to really be able to move forward. You know so much now, and you've explored so much now about yourself. And now is a really good time for you to think about why really does this matter for me personally. Here's the agenda. Again, you can see it's not going to be a super long lesson, not very many steps, but you can check it here and use that as your gauge to know how much time to give yourself for this lesson. The 2 main vocabulary words that we want to just highlight, there will be other words. Some of them you already know, but the word contemporary and the word orator. And you'll be able to see later on that they will come into play about, what those things mean and how it is important for you to just know what it means before you move forward. One more thing that you'll need to do, and we're doing it as a do now in this lesson, is to just review again a few things, historic things that are mentioned, that will be mentioned in the video you'll be watching, and so that you'll be able to really be able to understand and get a good understanding of what is being talked about in the video. The video that I'm referring to again is a video by James Baldwin. It's the same video that you saw earlier in a previous lesson. This time we're going to look at it in a slightly different way, and in a way as to make it a more informative things about an informative tool for you to learn how you can create your own personal story or narrative in this sense. Narrative here is not necessarily about writing a book or a linear narrative. It's just about telling your story. As you're watching the video, the James Baldwin video, you want to highlight the things that you observe about what he is grappling with in his speech. You will be familiar with this, but definitely watch it again because different things might be highlighted once you start this process in this lesson. Okay, so watch it again. So you're going to observe and compare, right? The things that he's talking about in his video, the things he's grappling with the things that people are grappling with today. He talks a lot about being in Harlem here and what Harlem was like back then. What is Harlem like now? And so you'll get a chance to do a comparison between the two, the different times in history in the same place, right? you're going to have an opportunity to really think deeper again about James Baldwin, his experience over 50 years ago in Harlem, and what Harlem is like today for the kids that are growing up. And then really the goal is for you to be able to think about, wow, what do I want it to look like 50 years from now, 10 years from now, 25 years from now, 5 years from now? What do I want my environment to look like, and how am I going to contribute to making sure that it gets to my vision of what it should be like? James Baldwin, as we've come to learn, was an amazing orator, right? He spoke really well. He was a very articulate guy, not like me. He was very charismatic when he spoke, which is really beautiful. So if you want to mimic his style and really learn from his way of presenting a speech, you might be able to do your final project for this activity, this lesson, in the way that he did, and you'll have an opportunity to do that. If that's not your style, you can still learn from him, right? So here are some ways that we've just broken down all of his different steps in the speech so that you can learn how to build a speech. Or if it's not a speech, it could be a visual way, because even though this is about him talking, the same tools that he's using to emphasize certain points can also be used visually, right? So the one thing that you'll notice in this lesson is that there are certain points in the video that I've asked you to really take note of as you're answering these questions. So you can forward the video to that point, or just listen out for it as it gets to that point when you're listening to it, okay? And answer all of the questions here. Make sure you're being thoughtful and careful about your answers, and really take the opportunity to really present your ideas in a clear and precise way. Okay. After you listen and you've written down the questions, answers to the questions, you will get a chance to do further research. One of the things that we know is that there are lots of things that are happening right here and right now around us, and people who are doing amazing work: poets, dancers, musicians, performance artists, visual artists. So if you know some of those people that are better and you want to use them, go right ahead, okay? That's perfectly fine for you to figure out who you might want to use, okay? So who are you going to use as your inspiration, basically? You want to write it here. It could be James Baldwin, right? Or it could be Meek Mills. Whoever you want to use, that's fine, okay? And then answer all the question about what about that person's process that you can use to inform your personal expression. Here are some other examples. Again, lots of different examples in different art forms, okay, in step 7. Step 7, you are going to look at these examples, right, for other people who do amazing speeches and orators, right? Poets. These are some poems that were written by our staff members at Foresight. This is a performance, live performance of a poem by Janine. And Rise of Crump, the dance movement that came out of the riots in the 90s in Los Angeles. So you might like the way that these people do their creative expression. Use it. All right, any of these. There's musicians, there are visual artists. Mickalene Thompson is really great at talking about her history and her mom's history and how it affects who she is and who she turned out to be. So, any of these examples you can use, but these are here just so that you can see that there are lots of choices and ways that you can accomplish the learning target. So, in your final work now, you want to take time to really look at what you're looking to show in your final piece. You want to make sure that you are talking in it, or somehow communicating your acceptance of your past traumas, your understanding of your present trauma, and your hope for a future where that same trauma does not exist for you or for anybody else around you. So definitely take the time you need to think through before you decide what you want to do. And once you know what you want to do, you can go ahead and execute that. You get a chance to visualize deeper in step 6, and then once you've done and you've created your piece, then you can attach it here in step 7. Again, this is just a video tutorial on how you can attach a file to this Google document. You can attach photos to the document, and you can do audios and videos to this, or you can even probably send this separately to your advisor, okay? However you want to do it is great, but make sure that whatever you do, however you do it, it is linked to this lesson, so that we'll know that this is the final project for this lesson. Check again to make sure that you reach all of the learning criteria and that you reached the learning targets. And guess what? Then you'll be done. It's been a long process, long 2 weeks, and hopefully you will learn some really good tools that will be able to help you to navigate your journey as you move forward through this school year and to your life in the future. Congratulate yourself. I congratulate you for accomplishing this and doing this work. So celebrate, get up and dance, get yourself a cookie if you want to, however you want to celebrate. My favorite song of 2020 is Blessed by Buju Banton. It's very dancey, so if you want something to dance to, here are some really great songs that you can get up and move and shake your booty to. All right.